what would I love to have known when I was a teenager in my early 20s? I would love to have known that the body was sacred. I would love to have known that your sexual energy was a sacred, powerful life force energy, that actually just giving it away to anybody in a sexual act was not actually empowering for the self. It wasn't liberating for a woman or for a girl to have as much sex as a guy. It didn't make us equal. It wasn't a good thing. You know, going back to when my parents were in their childhoods, when they were growing up, sex around their time was more, it was seen as more shameful. You know, no sex outside of marriage, etc. But then the pendulum swung round. When I was growing up, you know, all the movies and stuff, you know, they were basically pornographic sex scenes, and as children we were being sexualized, and as girls we were being programmed to believe that it was liberating and empowering, and we were equal to men, and we should be just having sex with whoever we wanted to have sex with, right? So not only were we being programmed to believe that our bodies were these sexual objects, but we're also being programmed to believe that, you know, it was always a good thing, right? It was liberating to have as much sex as men. So whilst I'm not saying sex is bad and you shouldn't have sex, of course I'm not saying that. But the truth is that our bodies are sacred. And our sexual energy is creational energy. You know, that sexual energy creates creation, and it is really powerful energy, and that energy can be harnessed to really create a life that we desire, to really use that creative energy. That energy is actually supposed to flow up us, up through our chakra systems, in order for us to experience other dimensions of reality, to open up our consciousness, to expand our consciousness and start to manifest in a life we desire. But instead we were brainwashed, perverted, programmed to believe that we should just be having sex with anyone, and that was actually a good thing. But in doing that and having sex, and you know, I went through so I'm not judging anybody that has done this or is doing this, right? I have done this. I did this in my 20s. I was having sex I was going out, getting drunk like many people my age were doing, on drugs, trying to escape this reality, this false reality. I now realise it's a false matrix reality, but trying to escape this reality by drinking myself silly, also being programmed from a young age to believe that was a good thing as well, that it was good to you know, drink ourselves. You know, we used to laugh about it. Me and my friends used to laugh about the fact that we would go out, we would drink so much that we'd be being sick, and you know, how many people have laughed about that. You know, just that is complete abuse to the body, and we're programmed to believe it is something that is good from a very young age as well. And all adults are doing it because they are also programmed to believe the same, but also it becomes a way to escape the slave system that we're being encased into. So as children, you know, so in my 20s, I should say, I was, you know, drinking a lot, having one night stands. I didn't realise then that my body was sacred. I didn't realise then that my sexual energy was sacred, and whilst it's not about not having sex, that actually that act is so, it's a union that comes together, and when you do it with someone that you actually love, that's when you are really creating this sacred union. When you're doing it with people that you do not love, that it's just these one night stands, like, you are actually harming yourself, and you are actually moving that creational energy out of your body, and you are basically being siphoned of your own energy, and you are creating scars and wounds within your own body. So I really wanted to make this video to say that, you know, I wish that when I was you know, I would love to have known this when I was in my 20s. It's not liberating to have as much sex as men. It's not good for men neither. That is also a program where men have been brainwashed to believe that it's something to be proud of. That it's something to be proud of. You know, where do we see that? You know, what was it? Love Island, right? Love Island, all these lads on where they're like, well, I've slept with 50 girls, I've slept with 100 girls, I've slept with 200, and they don't realise they are literally harming themselves, and it's not a good thing. And I'm not judging them neither, because they've been brainwashed, sexualised, perverted since a young age, like we all are. In fact, I look back now on when I was a child, right? And I know when I was about 6 years old, me and one of my friends, in fact, me and a couple of friends at the age of 6 were doing things that were sexual, that were really advanced sexual stuff. And I look back at that now and I think, where the hell did that come from? My parents certainly didn't teach it to me. And I realised it was from the TV. I was seeing these things from a young age, on certain movies, things like this, where parents didn't even realise, right? Movies would be certain ages, but within them there were these perverted scenes, right? Through advertisement, through just everywhere. It was everywhere. Your parents couldn't really protect you from that kind of programming that was all over the place. And I realised, we talk about children exploring sexually and we say that it's normal, but is it normal? I actually don't think it is normal. It certainly wasn't normal what me and my friend did together at 6. And I realised that was through the perverted program, and then going into my 20s, right, just thinking that it was normal to just go and have sex with all these different guys. And now I would never do that, because I respect my body. Now I love myself. Now, in order for me to, be in that kind of a sexual relationship with someone, I have to be in a true loving relationship. I have to be someone who I respect and who respects me, who I connect with mentally, physically, emotionally and spiritual. And when we come together like that in union, then we're going to create a lot of magic in our lives and in our world. But when we are doing it the opposite way, we are going to drain and siphon our energy, and we're going to create a lot of negative programs, a lot of devastation for ourselves, whether we are conscious of that at the time or not. So I just wanted to make this video to say, just on the off chance that there might be a teenage girl or someone in your 20s watching this and feeling pressure that it's actually a good thing, or a boy as well, feeling pressure that you think it's actually something to be proud of, just going out and sleeping with all these people. It's not a good thing. It's not something to be proud of. It will harm you. You don't have, and the reason why as teenagers as well, we feel so much we feel pressure to have sex. I remember I felt so much pressure. I felt like I had to. I felt like if I got to a certain age and I didn't, then people would be like, what's wrong with you? People judge you. So you feel pressurised into doing it. Again, that's not your parents pressurising you. My parents certainly were pressurising me. So where was that coming from? It was coming from those external influences, from the media, from the TV, from the movies. I was travelling recently with my friend, and we were on a really long plane flight, and I don't watch TV anymore. It's very, very rare. In fact, I've got rid of my TV. Well, actually in fairness, I've put it upstairs so that it's just not in the room, but I don't watch it. It's in my spare bedroom, and but we were travelling and it was a long flight, so I was like, okay, well, there's entertainment, I'm just going to watch something, and Sex and the City was on, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll watch that. I used to like it back in the day before I realised about all this perversion programming, right, when I thought it was just normal. And I started watching it and I was absolutely in shock. It was just absolutely pornographic, and porn is a perversion program as well. I had to turn it off. I couldn't watch it. I was absolutely sickened by it, because I know exactly why it's there, to just infect the minds of the young, and to make us believe that it is normal, and it's a good thing, and that we are literally just expressing our bodies, when it's actually abusing our bodies. It's actually having total disrespect of our sacredness and our holiness. But I had in my, I think it was, I used to watch porn as well. I used to feel that at first I remember when I was 16 and my boyfriend watched porn, and I used to get so jealous about it, right? Because why did I get jealous about it? Because it made me feel inferior. It made me feel like, oh, here's my boyfriend, he's watching all these women that their bodies are just totally, don't compare to my body, and he's liking it, and it made me feel really insecure about myself. And that's what porn is there to do, right? It's there to make you feel really bad about yourself. It's there to pervert the mind. It's an absolutely anti-human agenda that is out there. It's sick. It's sick. And I would say, if you've got any teenagers that are watching it, I would sit down and talk to them and let them know how it will pervert their mind. But me as a youngster, I didn't really know this, and the way that I got over that, I decided I had to change inside, because I always knew that if I wanted to feel better, then I had to change something about me. So I started to realise it's not about me. It doesn't mean that I am insecure. It's not a reflection on me, and I managed to sort of move away from that. But and how did I move with it? I started watching it with my partner, I was like, oh, I'll just get into it, I'll watch it. And eventually I started to realise in my 30s that I was becoming desensitised to my body. And I realised it was the porn that I was watching that it was desensitising my body. It was meaning that I couldn't connect to my body, that I had to really have all these thoughts and play all these things in my mind in order for me to get any pleasure out of my body. And that's what it does. It starts to desensitize you from your body. It starts to create all these distorted images in your mind, and you can no longer connect to feelings. It actually start to disconnect you from your body while it's implanting all of these perversions within your mind. And what happens is you just need more and more, right? And it needs to get a little bit darker maybe in order for you to feel pleasure from it, because you become desensitized towards it. And I started to wake up to that in my mid-30s, and I just completely cut it out of my life completely. And I'm so glad that I did. And it wasn't actually, well, it actually wasn't until years later that I really realised how much of an agenda was out there in terms of that material. So I'm rambling. But my point is, like, you know, if you are getting to that point where, listen to your instincts, right? You don't need to have sex with anyone. It's not something to be proud of. It's not something that's going to help you. It's actually going to harm you. If you actually have respect for your own body, and you actually realise that you deserve to be with somebody that actually loves and respects you, because when you are merging your bodies together, that is one of the most sacred acts that you can do. So when you hold yourself in that value, rather than having to, compete with the lies and the poison that is out there, that has like boys and girls thinking that it's something great, how many notches on your bedpost you've got, you're gonna, it might be hard at first because you're going against the grain, but you're going to start realizing that it empowers you. Now in my life, I haven't actually had sex for years and years and years, right? And that's fine. I'm using that energy to create so much in my life. And I know for myself right now that the next time that I have sex, it will be somebody that I mentally, physically, emotionally and spiritually connect to on all levels, because I absolutely have learned to value, cherish and love my bodies. And as we start to do that, everything changes.